Hello everyone, Defcamp here, and welcome to another episode of DefTalk, the talk show that focuses on everything World of Warcraft, whether it's classic, retail, or the players that play it. We're going to cover it all. Today we have with us the one and only, the Melderon of Melderon. How you doing, buddy?
Hello everyone.
My brother. And we have with us our special guest all the way from Brazil, Yamato. How you doing, man?
I'm great. Thank you for joining.
Thank you for coming out here, man. This is you're our first person from South America, so welcome. We're very glad to have you.
Thank you, guys.
Oh, yeah, we've had Europe, we've had, of course, North America,
Australia. Don't forget Australia.
We've had Australia, yeah. So we still need to get, I think, Asia and
Africa.
And Africa, yep. So we'll try to anyone out there from Asia or Africa, we're waiting for you. So,
and Antarctica too.
Antarctica, yeah. I'm sure there's some dude down there at like a lab
research station.
WoW, so Yamato, we'd like to start out with where you first started playing WoW and how you got into it. So when did you first start playing?
So I played WoW first I played Warcraft.
Okay,
that started it all.
Okay.
So I played Warcraft 2 and 3 on the PlayStation because we didn't have computers. So
interesting.
I played PlayStation at my grandma's house, and it was amazing. I mean, it was the first RTS I played in my entire life, and I loved it.
Yeah.
So then I played like Warcraft 3 in a LAN house, and then I played World of Warcraft because I was in love with the history of Warcraft.
Nice.
I mean, that game, that history, the cutscenes. So it was too much for my young self. And today, I still am in love with Warcraft lore.
Yeah.
I am buying some of the books now, but because I can get the books now, but not before.
Right.
So it was really hard. So I probably started playing at the end of Burning Crusade. I think it was 2004, 2005.
Okay.
I mean, so because I needed so much time to level up, I started in the Burning Crusade. I was going to the Wrath of the Lich King, and I was still in a low-level character.
Oh, wow.
I was out this time just playing the auction house because I would get gold to buy game time.
Wow.
That's why I was quick with this thing. So I started playing because of my friends. I got the new profession like inscription,
right,
and was taking like herbs, doing inks, and then I would be selling the glyphs. And because inscription have the one of a day learning glyph,
right,
these would be really rare. So I got these ones to sell and get a lot of gold because I would every day log in just to put new glyphs to sell and sell again and buy inks and sell glyphs and sell again and sell and buy and sell, and then I get like this crazy amount of gold without getting any level.
That's insane, dude. So you were playing the auction house, making gold just to be able to play the game, basically.
Yeah. Exactly.
So how does that work? So I'm sorry. How does the gold? It must
have been through a third-party website. Was it through a third-party website that you were exchanging gold for game time? Is that what you were doing?
Well, the first time, yes. After the first time, we had the contact, like me and the gold seller.
So you were giving gold to the gold seller. Oh, okay.
So I would get the gold to get the game time, and me and my friends had the contact of this person. And that was the only way I could get to play World of Warcraft.
Dude, because you were explaining this a little bit before we started, that for you in Brazil, it costs about 3 times as much for you per month as it does for us.
Yeah, but this time,
right,
before, it was even more because of that.
Wow. So you're talking an insane amount of money just to be able to play 1 month's worth of WoW.
Yeah. I mean, you go for like $15 now,
Right.
and at that time we would use like 60 real just to play the game. So 60 for 15.
Oh my God. Dude, that's insane.
So 60 real is a lot of money. So so I'm trying to do the conversion in my head is what I'm saying. So 60 real is the equivalent of $60 US in Brazil. It's about the same. Okay.
I mean, that could be like give and take.
Right.
But at point fixed, it would be like that.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially for a younger person, like you might not have a job at the time, or whatever. That's a lot of money.
No job, no allowance.
Yeah. So that's a lot of money to spend on a video game. So you did what you had to do, and I don't think anybody out there can judge you for doing that, because that's pretty bad.
The only way to play, I would give just time to the auction house, and then I would go in the overnight at the LAN house. So I could be to the entire night playing the World of Warcraft, and then I would get some levels.
Wow, what a different experience, man. That is crazy. Like, we're so used to talking to people about the leveling process and, getting to level 60, getting to end game. But you literally experienced something that not many people do. Well, at least in my experience, where you're playing the auction house. And, and that's so cool because I know a lot of people who like to play the auction house who will look for items that are cheap and try to resell them for, more gold and get money like that. But for what you like, and people just do that for fun, but you actually had, at the end of the day, you needed that gold to play the game so that you could eventually get 2 more levels, 3 more levels.
So you were doing the WoW token before the WoW token was actually a thing.
Yeah, right.
That's really funny.
That's so cool, though.
That's why I said, like, because the token today is not something big, but for my time it was crazy big.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, man. I didn't think about that. Like the effect that the WoW token would have on someone like yourself, because you could do it all through Blizz. You would be able to basically buy all the game time you needed, and for a decent amount of gold. Right now on U.S. servers, it's going for 113,000 gold, which from inflation from vanilla. In Legion, before I stopped playing Legion, I had 3.5, 4 million gold on my character, which I didn't even really try hard at all to get that much gold. I had 4 million gold just sitting around in my banks. I logged back on and I still had 2 million gold after all this crap that I bought. And right now, WoW tokens are at 113,000. That's cheaper. They're cheaper now than they were at the end of Legion. But it's just
about half as cheap.
About half from what I remember. Which is insane when you think about that. That must mean the game's not doing pretty good right now. But yeah,
I remember in Wrath, like the end of Wrath Pandaria, like when WoW token was first introduced. I mean, it was like 30,000, 4,000. So I remember that at that time I would think, wow, my character has that much of gold.
That's really interesting.
So it's just that now I don't play, but if I wanted, I could be playing because of the token. Right now.
So you started playing in Wrath near the end of Burning Crusade, so toward the beginning of Wrath of the Lich King. So how did you get involved in the classic scene?
So, well, like I said, I stopped playing Pandaria. So I tried a little in Warlords and then Legion, and not Battle for Azeroth because, well, I am too busy right now. So also there's just too much information going out and going on. And so when I wanted to play the game and I was not happy how Legion, how Warlords was doing, Because of a friend, was introduced to a vanilla server, the H-WoW, H-Bronze.
And this is a
Here in
Brazilian
Brazil,
private server?
it's a Brazilian private
Okay,
server.
yep.
Don't know if it still works, but I played a priest in that server.
Nice.
So, and the thing is, I wanted to play a full healing character, and you must think that a full healing character is really bad to get levels. So it was a new experience to me because the first character I made was a mage.
Right.
Then I made a Death Knight because it was OP.
Yeah.
And then I made a paladin just so I could heal. So I played all the 3 roles. Then I came back to a vanilla server and played a healing character in vanilla.
Nice.
So it was great.
And you leveled as holy or as a holy spec?
Actually, I did as discipline.
Oh,
nice. Which is actually a pretty decent spec. Yeah.
I played discipline and I used all my points without a guide. So I did my character with my choices, and I really enjoyed it. It was really fun. Also, something that I really liked about vanilla, the quest test. It really means something.
Yes, it does.
It's not just fodder for you to go and skip everything.
Yep.
So you really needed to read that test.
That's true because
so it was really interesting.
Yep. If you didn't have add-ons, first of all, back then, the quest text is what told you where to go, where you had to go to get this, where you had to go to get that. But not only that, later on in other expansions, especially like Wrath, they started doing cutscenes where, the lore was basically put in your face. If you wanted to learn about the lore, you had to read the quests. If you want to learn what was going on, why you're doing this quest, you have to read the quest. And a lot of people, including myself, I've done it. You just end up skipping it. You've got your freaking quest tracker add-on, and you just go to where it says you got to go. But, it's really cool that you played vanilla at your own pace. You did it your way. You leveled his disc. You read the quest test, and it's like vanilla is the only. I mean, like, where else can you do that? Other than like vanilla and TBC, that you get that experience that you can tailor to however you like.
I still had that experience in the beginning of Wrath before the looking for dungeon.
Yeah.
Because you would level in your zone.
Right.
So you would. I did as a blood elf. I did the entire journey to level 20 on that specific zone. Where the undead and the blood elves and I got that red blue staff.
Yes.
So that staff I used till level like 40 or something. Yeah,
you get that really good staff at the end. The Ghostlands.
It's really good because it's like BC gear, so it's like it has really good stats and stuff. Yeah.
So I have to go ahead. I'm sorry.
There's one thing in vanilla, like this staff made me remember that as a priest, I was a tailor. So I didn't have a lot of items to use. Right. So I had to craft my gear. And that made some difference.
Yes, it does. It really does. Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, that's awesome that you had the experience that you did when you first played retail WoW, which was that, during the time, when you were playing in Wrath and you were playing in, Kata, where you were basically getting gold just to play. But then you were able to go back into vanilla and like play the game as it's meant to be played in your own way. And that's so cool that you got to experience that. And I'm sure that's where you fell in love with vanilla WoW, right? I mean,
yeah.
That's why we're here today.
I mean, I always was in love with World of Warcraft. I didn't play like recently, but I am still in love with World of Warcraft. The history, the characters. I mean, Kaltawas does not exist anymore, but I still love Jaina. So there is always something that is really good about the game.
Yeah.
So
That's a good point.
did you take your? So I think okay. So you went back to these private servers. You played Classic. Did you take your knowledge of the economy and how the auction house works, and try to play the auction house in Classic as well?
Actually, I did, and it was really important
Yeah.
because things are expensive in Vanilla WoW.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I level as discs, so I needed to buy the shadow spells, the disc spells, the healing spells,
Yep.
and it's just too much gold. So I had one character that was just a mining and skinning character, just so get some mats.
Oh, you cut out there, Yamato.
Can't hear you, Yamato, for some
We
reason.
lost. I don't know if you muted yourself.
Sell
Oh, there you go.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
for the auction house. Like I would log in every day just to put new wars to sell, and I mean it was a different experience. I would sell less, but I would still sell every day.
Yeah.
So the gold was really important in Vanilla WoW.
Yeah, it's unlike in any other expansion. And I in the latest video I made about the WoW token, talked about how important gold is in vanilla. Like no other time did I mean, your flying mount costs a lot in the Burning Crusade, but like you said, your spells, you have to learn all your spells. You have to learn, consumables. Spending if you want to raid Nax Ramus, you got to get the consumables. You got to do all this, and gold was not easy to come by. So that's really cool that and mining and skinning, two great professions to get gold. Mining.
Also, you need to remember there is the fishing book, there is the cooking book, there is the blacksmith book. These things are expensive to buy.
All the patterns.
That's true.
Yeah.
So you cut out for a second, but you said you had a character that was mining and skinning, and what other things were you doing to get money?
So I would encounter some people like out in the open. Like there's this video you made, like there's just these cool guys that just do things in the city. I was one of these guys. I would give encants, I would like try to sell some encanting, I would try to sell. People whisper me to get some mats, and I mean there is a low population in a private server.
Sure.
So it's really rare to help something like this. And like everybody says, the fame of your character, of your name, gets actually something that other people just look for. So this cool guy, it helps people, it's encanting, like low level encants for free, or just give fortitude. Like I missed these things when at the end of Wrath, I mean some of the buffs, like the spell buff from a shaman, the spell buff from a monkey, and they became the same buff. They can't like
the crit buff, right? Yeah.
I mean, these things just make changes in WoW. I mean, you wouldn't want like a shaman and a bunkin in your raid group anymore.
Right.
You would want like 4 paladins to the 4 auras at the same time, and one after the other. Sometime it clicked. Like everything changed because of these little changes.
Yep, that's true. And class homogenization, and classes, and it's really interesting when you're saying like the story, like who your character is. You really get the idea of like you're the guy who he gives enchants at low levels, or gives people jewel crafting, like and just being that like classic WoW ambassador we were talking about, like someone who just helps somebody out, But yeah, we were talking about like when things started to change towards the end of Wrath, you really had that like class homogenization where it didn't really matter so much as to what class you were playing as it did so much
Yeah,
back in vanilla. Yeah. Yeah, it's also I've heard that the private servers in Brazil, and I think there is a really, I don't know if this is recent or not, but there was a Wrath of the Lich King private server in Brazil, and I heard they're
there
very
is.
tight knit communities there. Like, because like I said, so the private servers became these really tight knit communities for especially for Brazil, and I've heard some amazing things about how the community has come together, and like you know and that is like what we want to bring to Classic WoW, right? We want to bring that tight knit community, that socialization. So, would you say that that server that you played on in Vanilla had a really strong socialization to it? Was it like a really tight knit community?
I mean, for some time it had,
Hmm.
for some time,
Yeah.
but because of like bugs and
Hmm.
questions that didn't work, and sometimes the server just crashed.
Yeah.
So because of too much happening, I think people like gave up on the
Yeah.
server.
Yeah. That's sad.
And I was really busy at the time. Maybe today it is working. I
Yeah.
don't know, but the people that stayed, like I was one of the of these people.
Hmm.
Like I would see like 10, 20 friends online at the beginning, and then
Yeah.
I was like 5 people
Right.
that I knew on the game. And we
Yeah.
would still chat, we would still do quests. Sometimes we would still try to do some dungeons. So it was really important to us to do something,
Right.
but it died out of
Yeah.
in time.
That's sad because like you said, it's the bugs and the things like that. But I really hope that Classic WoW can bring that same experience to you as well. And hopefully we have not too many changes that are going on that would ruin the
Yeah.
social aspect or anything like that. But so you're a huge fan of lore, you said as well, and playing the auction house. What is it about vanilla WoW in particular? Like you were talking about how you have to read the quests, right? To there's a lot of information, but what is it so much about the lore in vanilla WoW that you love so much?
I mean, I did actually a post on it in my Instagram.
Oh,
The point is, you being a nobody is actually a big,
yes.
big, big thing in
Yep.
Vanilla WoW
Hmm.
because the road feels so alive.
Yep.
It shows like it's so big because if you don't do these things, the Horde is still the Horde, the
Right.
Alliance is still the Alliance,
Mhm.
and the road is still there.
Yep.
So when you come back, you see what's happening, people going in these big raids to raid the city
Mhm.
or going in some post or some contested territory or even just run 5 men.
Yeah.
Like people do the things and if you don't do, it's not important.
Yeah.
You can just stay in the city, play the auction rounds. You can see people in epic gear. And I remember, like, when we would see the legendary sword.
Mm.
I forgot the name now.
You mean Thunder Fury?
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Thunder Fury. The
Yeah.
first time I saw Thunder Fury, I mean, it was like the beginning of Wrath, and I saw it in the
Oh
Blood
wow.
Elf capital.
Oh no.
Like, I was just going from the auction house to the mail post, and then this guy with a sword. And I was like, what the hell is
What
that red
the?
one?
That's awesome, man. That's so cool. Yeah, like you said that, like
So,
the world goes on without you. Like you're not this huge, a champion of the alliance with the Ashbringer. Like you're just a regular
yeah.
dude, and they made the world feel so much bigger. You know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and actually, like reading through tests, like the quest lines, one of the stories that kept with me in Vanilla WoW was the Moradin story of that
Mm,
warrior that was going to the shore, and then
yep.
the undead came and he fought. Like after the quest, you get the book,
Yep.
so you had to get the book, read, and they would know the story of that warrior, of that sword that you got.
Melderon loves that story, don't you? The Morladim.
I do, and I don't want to do spoilers, but it's in my plans sometime in the future to make a video about that. But because
So
I do like the Morladim story a lot, and I think it's one of the best quests written in Vanilla WoW. I think it's amazing. It's an amazing story.
But I was a priest, so no sword for me.
Oh, yeah. That's okay. Maybe next time when Classic comes out. But that is something I love about Classic WoW, right? When you like complete a quest line and then you get like a book at the end of it and you can read the story, or you get like a certain item, or like, here's this letter and you read this letter from like this person to his wife, and like you get the backstory for a lot of these quests, whether it's like a book, like I said, a letter, a certain item. Like, and a lot of the times you're left with the stuff that I always put in my bank. I'm always like, oh, Melderon, do I have to throw this out or do I need it? And he's like, oh, just throw it out. You don't need it anymore. I'm like, wait a minute. I did this quest. I got this cool item. Like, I'm going to keep it in my bank because it's a memory that I finished this quest and I did it and I got something for it. Yeah, it might not be an item that I can put on my character, but it's something that will remind me of this quest that I did. And I love that about Classic.
Also, the quest lines, they were bigger. Like, even in Wrath, I had this quest lines that we would love to see, like the Wrath Gate, like these others. Like in Vanilla, also, the Fires Camp. It was a big quest line.
Oh, yeah.
And the thing is, in Vanilla, they didn't have any fear to make you go to the entire world just to get to your next quest.
Yep. We were just talking about this.
I was seeing like the videos of Nixian like talking about the Wetlands run and the Shadowfang Keep run. And I mean, that was crazy, man.
Absolutely.
You're just a low level character and you have to go like to 10 level, 20 level zones. So
it's crazy. Melderon was talking about the totem quest.
So we started new characters, kind of just to slowly level. We play them like once a week, kind of thing. And Defcamp's a shaman, believe it or not.
Yeah.
I'm a warrior, which is not a surprise. But so we're leveling in Tearsfall. I'm Forsaken, and he's an orc. So there's a quest line to go into the Gammon Mills. Everyone knows the Gammon Mills quest line. You go into the bottom of the crypt, you kill the guy, and you get you bring it back. So at the end of that quest line, you have an option of either a staff or a two-handed mace. Now, can undead warriors wield two-handed maces or staffs? They can't do either. So that was done on purpose because they could have given a two-handed sword quest reward, of course.
Right.
But they didn't. They gave a two-handed mace, so it makes you go to Thunderbluff.
Yep.
Right. So in that way, you go across on the Zeppelin. And you have to go to Mulgore, and you have to walk. You have to walk that. You can't take a taxi.
No, so you have to go the Zeppelin all the way to Orgrimmar, walk all the way down from Dorotar to the crossroads, walk down to the crossroads to Camp Dorajo, make that right, go into Mulgore, and the Barrens. It's a long walk when you're level 12 or whatever, and that's so memorable. Like going there for the first time, and Blizzard is almost like forcing you to explore the world. The Druid quest, the aquatic form quest, you have to go to the shaman quest, the water quest. Yeah, so many of these class specific quests, or you're in like a quest in in Brill. Oh yeah, go to the crossroads. And you're like, if you're a first time player, like what the hell's a crossroads? What is this? You ask somebody, I gotta go to the crossroads. Where's that? They're like, oh yeah, it's on the. Like what? You know what I mean? But I love that, and like in no other time in WoW were you kind of forced to explore.
I don't know if you know, but I did the Missing Diplomat quest line.
Oh, yeah.
So that took some time.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Oh, my God.
But that ring, it was like, it made me feel like grateful that I did the quest line.
Yep. We were talking about the In Dreams quest line, where you get Tyrion Forging quest line. Another great one. We were talking about the Uber's quest line to get the key. just these and those are higher level quest lines, but there's a lot of lower level quests that have just as much exploration in them, and a lot of really long quest lines that I mean, there's some quests in WoW, and another great thing is the other day I was messing around doing something, and I always love seeing an alliance group running to SFK, or if you're playing alliance, seeing a horde group going to dead mines, right? It's oh, dude, they seriously are badasses to come all the way into Westfall to do the dead mines. I love seeing that, and that's so cool. It's not so bad for the alliance.
It's just like Stormwind is right there.
I know, dude. It's seriously, you can throw.
But I think the most badass group ever would be a group of level 13s going through Alliance going through Orgrimmar to do Ragefire Chasm.
Yeah,
I have never seen that, and I don't think it'll ever exist. If anyone knows of that actually happening, please let me know.
Dude, we got to do that now. We got to do it.
Can you imagine that?
You have the corpse walk. But...
Can you imagine 5 level 15s walking through the front gates of Orgrimmar trying to get the Ragefire Chasm?
I mean, you're going to get a one hit by the guards, but then you have
easily.
Probably.
Yeah, I wonder if your gear would be broken before you get in there or not. Probably not.
Just remove it.
Yeah, there you go. Just remove it. Yeah. That's right.
I mean, it would be almost equally badass to go to do the stockades if you're Horde, but at that point you're at least level 30. So these guys are level 15, right? Trying to get into Orgrimmar, and I think
it's just a little gnome running in a drag,
That would be so funny, dude. Yeah. I would love to see that.
We have to do it now, dude. We have to.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to the economy portion of the talk. We were talking about kind of the economy of WoW and stuff like that. So we recently made a video about the WoW token being implemented into Classic. And of course, let me just go out by saying that I do not want this to happen.
Yeah.
However, there's a conversation that needs to be had, and I don't want to just make content, and we just don't want to make content that's just blatantly saying, don't put this in the game.
Right.
We want to have a background of why we don't think we want to put it in the game. And that's why we made a video about it. We got some negative feedback. So Defcamp, if you want to talk about that for a second. But
yeah, so we made this video basically. When I made this video, this was something that was kind of been on my mind for a while too. Obviously we didn't get confirmation. Some people were saying, yeah, there was confirmation with this. They weren't going to do it. Obviously, no one provided there was no confirmation when they said that they were never going to do this. So obviously, this is something that could happen later on down the line, especially if there was going to be a shop in there. I would, speculate that there possibly could have been a WoW token at some point. So I figured, you know what? Let's talk to some people. There's always some pros for the WoW token. There's obviously a lot of cons, especially when it comes to Classic WoW. And I think it's something that happen. And hopefully, when I make a lot of these videos and when Melderon makes them, we would hope that maybe down the line somehow, somewhere, Blizzard could get wind of this and understand that this is how the player base is thinking when it comes to Classic. Let's leave it as it is because there's so many unforeseen consequences that can come out. One of which someone had brought up about possibly playing retail to get gold to basically buy a WoW token in retail, send it over to have that game time, send it over to Classic. So you basically would be getting gold from retail and sending it to Classic. Someone said that's a reason why they wouldn't do it. Someone used that same example to say it's a reason why they would do it. So I think there's been a lot of speculation with this, a lot of back and forth, a lot of people really against it, a lot of people who thought it would be a good idea. And we just tried to have the conversation is, here are the pros. The pros, it would make it accessible to a lot more. And, there are a lot more pros that I had just brought up. I only brought up 3. And there are a lot more cons that I had brought up. And, we wanted to basically have this conversation as to say, here's what we think. This is why it could be a pro. We're very no changes. We would not like to see it in there, but we're not going to, just say bury our heads in the sense like it means, no one else and it's wrong for everyone. Like you brought up a good point, Yamato, as to why it would have been great for you guys back in the day. If you would have had WoW tokens, you would have been able to play the game, And so things aren't just black and white in this world. It's not just it's good or bad. And,
I think what Defcamp's trying to get at is what do you think the WoW token would do to the Classic WoW economy?
Actually, I think it is not as big as people are thinking.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing is at the launch, no token.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no way the token could be at the launch of Classic WoW. Like, nobody would have gold, nobody would be able to use it. And actually, I think it's a great thing that you can buy the token at retail, use it for game time, and use the game time on Classic. You would make the people play the two games. Wizard would like that. There's no problem there. And the new gamers would be the most benefits of that. So, but later on, like 1 year, maybe more, they could introduce the token to Classic. But I think for Classic, the only way to use the token that would make it viable would be for game time. More than that would be bad. Because the experience from Classic is the game. The game is the experience. You have no big mounts, you have no collection, you have no transmog, you have no character level advancement. Like, the leveling experience is so much of the game that if you would sell anything for Classic or Vanilla, it would have to be game time. More than that would be bad for the game. Also, the discussion that you brought made me think of something that I wanted to bring to attention here. Like, we have too much information these days, like 2019. We have so much information, like every detail, every rumor, every talk, they make some people like spark that rage. So I don't want changes, I don't want anything. It must be vanilla, like, but there's something important that you need to remember here. Like, you could want Blizzard to make this or that, but the point is, Blizzard needs to make these decisions. They are hard decisions, and it's their game, and they will need to make it a choice. But the point is, people are bringing a lot of elephants to the room, and my point, you can just remove the elephant. I mean, Classic will have updates. There will be patches. Issues will happen. And they will need to fix it. Like it or not. They will need to make these changes. And some are like, okay, like some bugs or something that you won't like. They could even make some of the old bugs to be features, like the Moonwalk bug that some people really like. But it's on their discretion. So the point is, people are thinking that Classic cannot fail. It is like this perfect masterpiece. That if you bring like exactly like it was, it wouldn't be having like any problem. And we see today that even us, the community, could be wrong about how we know Classic. Like damages and spells and skills, and like the only one that could know better is Blizzard. And Blizzard, as much as it needs to hear us, they shouldn't like do what we want. And the point is, they need to know better. They need to do these big games that they are planning, like Classic, like Reforged, and they are assuming a big risk here. Because they shouldn't just like do nothing. I'm gonna work retail, like, and get my money, but they took the risk. And this is something that makes us believe that the philosophy is different. Actually, there is like some green flags that I saw from the demo on Classic. And there's big points to these green flags. Like, they did some classic things. Like, people that will work only on classic games. Like, this is a very hard decision, but it's one of the better decisions for important projects. And there is probably like a lot of work that is already done for classic. When you see like the demo, the people that found a way to walk out of bounds on the game, and you could see the cities, the dungeon entrances, the dungeons probably are already completed because they didn't change much these years.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people that are talking bad about these things, but probably we don't know how much of the game is complete.
That's true.
Also, there is a lot of time to fix these things. Like, Blizzard made this big window of time from the first demo to the next demo. So we are discussing so much of the game that they will have so much information on their hands that if they made bad decisions with that much information, well, it's totally on them.
Yeah.
And they could just fix things after. So it's not really a big problem. And we need to remember also, there are a lot of things that you see like as a problem right now, like the looking for group.
Right.
And you have to remember there's a lot of issues that Blizzard didn't even think would be when it happened.
Exactly.
Like, these people are playing a classic WoW demo. Wow. Let's see what they are gonna do. Oh, they are looking for a group. There's no possible way Blizzard thought of that. And actually, as a programmer, this is exactly what happens a lot of the times. Like, you make a number, place, and people goes and puts text to there. So it's pretty normal. And the important things are there. The maps are looking good. The mobs are looking good. The skills are looking good. The characters are looking good. The classes are looking good. So people are complaining at every little detail. And there's a lot of good things that Blizzard made so far.
Wow.
And one thing I wanted to say, there is too much communication. Like, there is the YouTubers, there is the streamers, there is the press, there is the forums, and as much as people needs to talk about these things, not a lot of people are good for that. There's a lot of toxic people in the world. So two people could talk about the same thing, and we see two different things.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's really important that we give the information and we have some patience. Because if somebody is to make cheese a good game, it's Blizzard, not us. But we have the information. We are the community. We can voice, and they would need to hear.
Dude, everything you just said there was so important. Like, you know, it's so important at times to keep an open mind. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much emotion and so much things that are pent up with this game, and so many different ways of seeing things. So many people had so many different experiences, right? You know, when it comes down to it, like the whole thing with the WoW token, the whole thing with, like, you know, this is all the game we love. This is let's look at the big thing here. Like, we're getting classic WoW. We're literally getting the game that we've wanted for so long, you know, and just like you said, like it's bound to have, you know, it's gonna some people are gonna be upset, some people are gonna be happy. But let's look at the big things here, right? Blizzard did a lot of things right in the demo. They did a lot of things that people didn't like. They did a lot of things that were really hard for them to do, which I couldn't even imagine, you know, the fact of what they accomplished, considering how much they had to work with, you know. And like, going back to the thing about the WoW token is, you know, like, there's first of all, what you said was perfect. Like, there's no way exactly if it ever did come into the spectrum, it'd have to come in way after the launch of Classic, and that's something that obviously because of the disastrous, it could be disaster to the economy when it first came out, things like that. But and that's what we're just trying to talk about here. We're talking about like these are the questions, these are the things that should be being talked about, and being talked about in a level-headed, open-minded kind of way. We understand that everyone's experience is different. We don't want to see classic WoW, turn into retail WoW. That's not what we want. Obviously, we don't want to see anything like that. We don't want to see things that are going to be implemented. But we also have to understand, I think, to a certain degree, that it's not going to be a copy and paste of what it was in 2004, 2005, 2006. Yeah. There's going to be some things that are going to be different. And, it's okay to have that conversation. It's okay for someone to disagree, for someone to think, oh, this is crap, this is whatever. But to have that conversation, I think it's very much needed. Like when we had the conversation about the WoW token, I myself, like you, I still personally, I think there's a lot of unforeseen consequences that could happen. I think if it ever did happen, like I said, it would have to be way towards the later of of Vanilla's timeline, and there could not be nothing other than, like you said, for the game time. There would be, of course, which would scare me if they started bringing in, like with microtransactions, like you talked about, different mounts and things, because it's so core to the vanilla experience to only have 9 mounts or however many there were in vanilla, to only have to have no character boost, because it's essential to the classic experience to level your character. But I can't just say, oh, all this, and then just not talk about those things, because at the end of the day, I'm sure Blizzard's thinking about it. I'm sure Blizzard's thinking about this, and I think we just need to have that conversation to make sure that, this is what I'm thinking. This is the pros, this is the cons. I myself personally lean towards the feeling that, it may bring, just because I personally don't feel like if there was a game token, I feel like it would be a little too tempting to Blizzard to want to have a game token and a shop as well. I don't know. That's how I feel, but it's just everything you said there, though, Yamato. Like, it was just really on point. And thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
There's one more thing. Like, people are crazy about Activision and Blizzard, but when you see the history of these two companies, like Activision made a lot of games, lot of great games. There's no way you don't like one of the games of Activision. Like, there's a lot of ways to that company, but there is big rigs. And I don't know if you know, but it's one of the shittiest games of all time. Really? Like, sometime you look about that. But the point is, Activision can sell like 5 games if I look at right. And when you look at Blizzard made like 30 games, and there were 10 canceled games. So 1/3 of Blizzard's games were canceled. Even Project Titan, so recent. So Blizzard is a lot more about quality than quantity.
Absolutely.
And Blizzard's showing that again. And I think...
Well, except for Diablo Immortal, but yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, but you see, if you throw Diablo out of the window, like, it was a really good BlizzCon, like Reforged, like Classic, like the project, the teams talking about it. I mean, the point is, Blizzard can make mistakes. It can, just yes. But it is still a great company. Activision is still a good company, but there are points that are bad to the clients of both of the companies, because we are different. We are different publics. So if Blizzard wants to make a good Classic and a good Reforged, they need to stick to how they worked in the past, and they made games that they wanted to be made. and they launched the games when they wanted to launch.
Yeah,
They
so
told they should launch. Look at Warcraft 2. It was supposed to be a very different game until somebody came and said, "Oh, orcs in space."
Yep.
And then they scrapped it and changed everything.
Yep.
StarCraft came of that.
Yep. Like I said with Project Titan, you know, that was like what 6-7 years they spent on that game. And they were like, nah, scrap it, dude. We'll use the resources towards something else. You know, like that's the Blizzard that we all really grew in love with. You know, and yeah, like you're absolutely right, man. And you know, there is part of me
I have to disagree with. I think that, you know, I think.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that was the Blizzard that we fell in love with.
Yeah.
Like that Blizzard. You know, and I personally feel that like as time went on, I feel like as more Activision got in touch with WoW and got more power, we saw a lot more of cost effective, you know, cost versus time and all of that. And the more and more time we saw Activision with Blizzard, we saw less of that Blizzard and more of that Activision. You know.
Yeah, I just think that with the way retail's going, and with the way what we've seen come out in the press releases about how unhappy the Blizzard employees are, I just don't know how much longer Blizzard will be a good company. Is my issue, and I don't know if we can consider that to stay the status quo to remain the way it has been over the years. I don't. I have to disagree. I think that Blizzard is on a very downward path right now, and I think that if they don't reconsider their really reconsider their philosophies and core internal principles, I think they're gonna fall apart. I mean, I see where you're coming from.
And I like those philosophies that you just said, like how they, you know, and that's what I was getting at too. Like that is what needs to be. You know, more so again now is to have that type of people that it's quality over quantity, you know. And I feel like Blizzard, you know, the question is, right, is are they still capable of that? You know, that's the question, right? Because of, you know, like Morheim leaving, people like that, Activision taking a much bigger role within their company, especially that their CFO is now someone who's from Activision. You know, it's like, is Blizzard still capable of that? You know, can classic WoW and another thing that I talked about with the WoW token was like, you know, a big reason why I'm iffy with the WoW token is because the WoW token all said, like, if it worked in the way that how you said down the line, that's all great. You know, as long as it was only implemented for buying game time, like, okay, it doesn't have that much effect. But I don't trust the fact that they would just implement a WoW token and not implement a shop, because I know how. If Activision wanted it the way they possibly wanted to get as much money as they could, well, if we have a WoW token, implement a shop as well in Classic, so that more people would feel to buy the WoW token to spend more money in the shop. And that's where I'm worried. Those are when I talk about the unforeseen consequences and why I was so worried about that, because of the, you know, the path of which Activision Blizzard has been going down now. And it wasn't as so much as to say about the WoW token by itself, because the WoW token by itself, implemented in the way that you said, it's not that big of an issue, especially if it happens later on down the line, you know, only for this, for that, which, you know, a lot of people would still have issues with, and I understand why. But if they were to do that and see the kind of money that could bring in to also have a shop, you know, do you still trust Activision Blizzard? Do you have the trust that they would not make those choices? And like you said, they did a lot of good things as well. You know, even releasing Classic, even doing that and everything that they have done is so much good to say about the company. But it's also, you know, time will tell. I guess time's the only thing that will tell, right? Is, you know, what's going to happen. And you know, but I think it's important to have these conversations, because what other way, and hopefully Blizzard's tuning in, hopefully they listen so they can get a feel on the people who are, you know, hoping for the best for this game, because we all want it to succeed. We don't want to see Blizzard go down in flames. We don't want to. We love the IP. Like, we love Classic WoW. We want it to succeed. That's why we're talking about it. That's why we're talking about, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? Would this be good for this to be in Classic WoW? Would it be bad? Because at the end of the day, we want it to succeed and we want it to be a good thing. And we're trying to maybe give a little hint to Blizzard, hey, this is something that a lot of your people don't like. This is something that a lot of people do like. This is what we loved about Classic WoW. This is what we loved about MMOs in general. This is what we loved about your company. And that's what we try to do with this channel so much, is to say that, this is what we loved about it. This is why we love it. And hopefully once in a while, people agree, people like that, people see that, and maybe once in a while Blizzard will see that and say, hey, this is what, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So I want to talk about, briefly to end, we have about 6 or 7 minutes left. I want to talk about Brazil in general. So are the Brazilians very excited for the release of Classic WoW, would you say?
I would say that a lot of Brazilians are. Like, I have some friends. There are friends that are playing retail WoW, and they are wanting to at least try Classic. They have no way they would have interest in Classic before, but because of all that is happening, they would try Classic. Also, there are people like me that play at the vanilla servers, and we are really interested in Classic. I am so hyped because of Classic that I would just come back to the game if it was launched today.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way I won't play Classic.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things that need to be right. Like, if game time is gonna be for both of the games, probably it's good. If, like you said, if everything is gonna work, but I have some reservations when I think, like, what if the servers are gonna be like per country? Like, as much as Brazil would like Classic, I don't think that we would have like a really big population for some time. I mean, we would be like dividing retail and Classic. There is a lot of people that plays retail, but not that much that plays Classic right now. Actually, you would say that there's not a lot of people that are playing both of them. So
yeah, I don't see a lot of Brazilian guilds or something like on Northdale and a lot of the so the European private servers. I see a lot of Russians. I see a lot of Chinese. I don't see a lot of Brazilians. So I was wondering. That's why I was asking. But on the flip side of that, on Twitter, a lot of Brazilian Classic WoW people are following me now. So or following Defcamp Melderon. So there's a lot of Brazilian people that are
there's a lot of interest, even if you don't play anymore.
Right. And there are the Brazilian Pacificers, like we said. There was the vanilla one, and I know of a really popular Wrath of the Lich King Brazilian private server, which I think is one of the biggest private servers in Brazil, is a Wrath of the Lich King server, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
I mean, at least 3 servers would be like big servers over here.
Yeah.
And the point is, like, we are in 2019. They could like pull some VPN out of their crap, like, and make like 4 servers, 1 server.
Yeah.
They could do. And I don't know if people would like that, to have like different countries interacting. I would like. I don't know about others, but I would like. I mean, before, I don't know if I talked about this, like, we had to use a US East server.
Right.
To play WoW because no Brazil servers. So yeah, we play with like 1000 latency or something like that. Like near to disconnect.
Wow.
Like, it was hard, but the point is, today there is a lot of options. We could get something that could be good for everything. We could get something that some people will like, some people won't like. And like Melderon said, like, Blizzard needs to learn from its mistakes to make better decisions.
Yeah.
And those better decisions could make a better game for us.
Absolutely.
I agree. And that's why, I hope that they just consider what they've done great, what they've done poorly, and kind of make a mix of them and make a new probably MMO experience. Because there are, like, I'm not saying that everything in retail is bad. There are things like Mythic Plus dungeons that I think are an interesting addition to the game. And time walking dungeons, like some of these things that they've implemented aren't bad things. I just think that there are very few things in retail that are actually worth saving. But I think, you know, if we combine all those elements and the ingenuity, I think they can make a really amazing MMO experience.
New MMO experience,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And as for classic, you know, just I mean, you know, the recipe isn't that complicated. You know, that's the other thing too. Like for classic, it's not that complicated of a recipe. It happened before. You know what to stick to. You know, stick to the recipe, right?
I mean, I think the word for classic for Blizzard is opportunity. So there is so much opportunity that Blizzard can take from classic that could be even better for retail. I mean, if you make classic and you know how people are leveling, how people do things, there is a big opportunity for you to remake the level from 1 to 6 on retail WoW. There's a big opportunity there.
Absolutely.
And at the future, like for future decisions, what if we get the Kazan crypts? What if we get the deleted content that we lost every expansion? It's a big opportunity there too.
It is Kazan crypts and
Yeah, and also something I commented on one of your videos. What if we get in the game a way to buy and read in game the books of Warcraft, like picture books with pictures with like the riddle. I mean, I see online one time like these histories,
right?
Like
little short like stories where you can read in game.
What if we get to that in game? What if you could buy them?
Right, instead of friggin' mounts. Yeah, instead of mounts, all these friggin' mounts, why don't they have their books in game or something like that?
There's so much to this world that we could have, and I think Blizzard is wasting all these opportunities. And us as community are bringing that up, and that is important. I mean, when you talk about talking about the WoW token, there's so much there that people don't even crazy about.
Yeah, that's so true. Dude. Like you brought up some points I had no idea.
Of my experience, but there's a lot more. Like there's Primal Fire. I saw like tips out doing something like this, like Primal Fire on Raid. Then it could change the economy, like the changes in items. So what if Blizzard make the classic server, and instead of making like stages, if they already thought about that? I don't know. Maybe they thought about that and made some change. It could be good. We don't know. But the point is, there is so much opportunity in this game. And I really want Blizzard to take the chance, and make a better classic and a better retail WoW. That's the point.
Well, you brought up some really amazing points tonight, Yamato, and thank you so much for coming out. You know, it's really good to hear someone, you know, who had a different with the same game, but a totally different experience. And it's so interesting. You know, a lot of times we talk to people who, you know, like from the US or from Europe, and, you know, someone like yourself who has had just a very different experience, but has still fallen in love with the game. It's amazing. So thank you so much for coming out. And you have a Twitch as well, don't you? You stream as well?
Yeah, I stream. I try to play some Warcraft 3.
Oh,
I play on hard.
Nice.
It's really hard.
Yeah.
And I plan on continuing.
Cool.
Also, I play some Hearthstone.
Nice. Very nice. So, yeah, if you guys...
League of Legends too.
Cool.
So...
We'll have a link in the description.
I try to vary.
Oh, nice.
It's a lot of fun.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah, we'll have links to your Discord... your So we're Twitch and your Instagram will be in the description, and it's also underneath his portrait right there. So you'll see that right on the screen. So so if you guys check his stuff out, if you guys want to be on DefTalk, we are behind. We have a backlog of people. We're about 6 weeks behind right now. There's a lot of people that want to be on the show, and that's great. But at the same time, I hope you guys just be patient with us. We're getting around to it. If you guys are listening on a podcast, if you're on Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, or SoundCloud, we also have a YouTube channel. Come over and check us out on there. There's a lot more content outside of podcasts that you'll get there. And if you're watching us on YouTube and you want to go on your bike or your car or whatever and listen to it, and you don't have like unlimited data, you can just download it from one of our podcast things. Go over to our SoundCloud or Twitch or iTunes or Stitcher, iTunes, or Google Play. Other than that, we have Twitter, we have Discord. Check us out there. And if you want to be on DefTalk, email us at melderon.gaming@gmail.com. So, thank you.
Check out ClassicWild.live as well.
Exactly. Yes, we're building that website as well, and it should be launching with a new version soon. So stay tuned for that.
We'll keep you guys updated. But once again, Yamato, thank you very much for coming out. My name's Defcamp.
My name's Melderon, and
I am Yamato.
Okay.
All right,
awesome.
Guys, keep on keybind and grinding.
Peace. See ya. Peace.
Thank you.